Hello, everyone. I'm Kathy Cronin, and I will be leading our discussion today, but I want to introduce you to the wonderful ladies who are joining me on my panel. I have Karen Downey, Linda Baker, Susan Jarboe, and Reverend Linda Burdett. So before we get into the topic that I'm presenting, I'd like to take a little time for us to get focused, to be able to put us beside anything that's going on and just focus on this little bit of time that's for you to be connected with spirit and with the divine. So if it helps to close your eyes, to just get centered, take a few deep cleansing breaths. Feel that breath coming in is drawing spirit within you. And as you exhale that breath, you're releasing the tension, the stress that's in your shoulders and your back, and anything that's clogging your mind that just needs to be let go. You can set it aside for a few moments while we focus on our topic today. And with this, I call upon the Spirit, the Holy, the Divine, Father, Mother, God, we call to you today in thanks and in appreciation for the many blessings that you give to us. You know that which challenges we are faced with, those are the answers can be given to us. And we know you walk with us side by side, that together we co-create a life that's full, sustaining, and abundantly blessed. We thank you, God, for this time that we have together. Amen. So my topic today is from Eric Butterworth, and if many people who have been around Unity, Eric Butterworth was a one of the greatest Unity writers. He wrote several books, a lot of topics and essays and things like that. And you can find many of these in the Unity Digital Archive. The part I'm doing today is coming from it's an excerpt from his book, In the Flow of Life, and it's about the healing stream. What Eric Butterworth writes: You are a child of the universe. You do not walk your path of life alone. The whole universe walks with you. It is dynamically involved in you. Its dynamic flow is ever expressing as you. Thus, health is not something you can get physically in pills or potions, or metaphysically in prayers or treatments. You cannot get health. You can only be health. Health is the reality of life, the normal condition of man. God is a circle that is centered in you. All the attributes of the infinite are in focus as you, flowing forth through you. You are in this flow. You are this flow at the point where you are. Thus, you are a child of the universe. Meditate on this tremendous insight. It means that you are created in the image, likeness of an infinite idea. You are the only begotten of God from the standpoint that no matter what others' influences may have left their marks on you from the outside, there is that of you that is begotten only of God, which is forever the flowering of the divine flow from the inside. This is the fundamental truth. All else are incidental facts. Keep in mind that healing streams is constant, not present only when you affirm that it is working. You are in the stream constantly, even if you have been manifesting less than wellness and experience. The need is not to overcome illness, but simply to get into the flow. Any attempt to overcome the physical problem may well give rise to even further tension and stress, which will set up conditions that could neutralize your efforts or even make you worse. There is a healing stream. It is one of the great realities of life. Wherever there is even a faint glimmer of life, That stream is a reality and a potential for help and healing. The question may be asked, is it possible for this condition to be healed? Who can answer? For the condition is the fixation and the consciousness of the person. There is no incurable illness, only incurable persons who may be locked into certain negative states of consciousness. But consciousness can be changed. One should not oversimplify the process, nor assume that by saying a few affirmations or metaphysical treatments, a miracle of renewal will easily come. However, know the truth. You can be healed. You can open the way to the eternal flow of life. And I picked this topic because I so often know that we focus on for affirmations and prayer and healing. And I want to address it from the fact that sometimes in our lives, people cannot overcome the illnesses that have been to. It's a part of their path that they were here to work. And we can pray for somebody who's very sick, and we may think the prayers are not answered because they succumb to the illness. However, I do believe that if we look at the flow, that what they are going through is a part of their path, their mission, and the aspect that they're in. You know, we can change our consciousness to focus on healing, and if God's will is for the healing to come, it will be. But we can also recognize that sometimes we are going through that time and that place, and we weren't condemned or, like the leopard that Jesus healed. It was sort of, he brought the healing about, but it was a change of consciousness. Sometimes it's just recognizing that we are faced with this physical challenge because there's a part of that we need to learn, or our loved ones may be going through it, and it may be that point in time from that illness that we learn and we grow, and it's part of our journey in this life of healing that we find to do. So those are sort of my thoughts on this healing stream. I just so often have heard, been focused with, well, I'm going to go back to the fact that the most crucial time was when my husband was dealing with stage 4 cancer. And often it was says, well, why did you manifest this in your life? And what was it there? And it sort of is, I'm approaching this from this healing stream, is that, yes, prayers were answered and, he overcame it. He's in remission. But that was part of the path. It was something that we needed to walk together, to find together, and to go through this, and that the outcome, was a positive outcome. However, on the other side, there was a learning with that. And that learning was to identify that sometimes it's our time and our path and our journey in this life, and that God really, we go into the flow and into God's plan. So I'm going to open this to the panel on their thoughts on this and what they would like to share. Hey, Linda.
Well, I understand just exactly what you're talking about. ALS is a disease that has plagued my family. To my knowledge, I've had 13 members of my family come down with ALS, and that's just what I know about. So I always felt like I was destined to become sick with ALS. And then a friend of mine introduced me to a book about epigenetics. And in that book, I got a really good education, a learning that you can also inherit the traits of your other parent. Like the disease was within my dad's side of the family, but apparently I've inherited the genes from my mother's side of the family, and I'm saved from that disease. At least I am till today. So I feel like it was a healing that happened to me because of that. So it works both ways, I think. You can make yourself sick, but you can also make yourself well. That's my initial take. Thank you, Kathy.
I really liked a phrase in your presentation that when you are walking a path, the universe is walking with you. I've heard, of course, God is walking with you, or people who've made their transition are still with you, but putting the universe together with me individually is a very helpful and useful thought. As you were speaking, I was thinking that there you hinted at a risk, and that is what we tend to call blame the victim. I have friends, a couple, and he has polio. She had, before she passed, a serious and unusual mitochondrial that presented like sclerosis in terms of physical and they had people come up to them and say, "What did you do wrong?" Excuse me, I just received a message that my internet connection is unstable. So if I disappear, we'll punt. Well, anyway, that would make people feel, really bad. And so your idea that, we have experiences because this is our path and these experiences are on our path. There's a way in which we do draw experiences to us, but I just worry that some people interpret this as you did something wrong or bad, and God is punishing you with this uh, particular illness. And I like too that you said that we can pray and do prayers of affirmation, and the person still may not get well, although we are doing everything we can. And again, I think that's part of the person's path. I don't know why people tend to blame the victim of illness. And perhaps somebody can speak to that. But I think your message of a path that is ours to take is a very healthy, useful, and constructive one.
Thank you, Susan. Karen?
Thanks, Kathy. There's two things that I wrote down here. And I know when I used to work with clients, the prayer would be, what do I need, they need for their highest good? What needs to be revealed? And I just, no matter what is going on with someone else, I just keep that thought because I don't know what is for someone else's highest good. And if something's going on with me, I'm pretty blessed with good health. Depression can get me down really quick. And then I have to ask myself, is there something out of balance? Do I need to do something or do I need to see something? And sometimes it's just that I just need to chill. I just need to be for a while, either sleep more or whatever. I don't ever know. But I've kind of I just don't think that I know what is for someone else's highest good, but I know that God knows. And I don't even remember when that thought form came into being, where it's like we create our illness, and that blame and shame thing. I mean, I always thought that was a pretty horrible thing. On the other hand, I know that if someone is ill and I happen to be brought into a situation, there's certain questions I can ask too, at a deeper level. Is there something, bothering you? Is there something you need to talk about? And not in those exact ways, but usually my intuition will lead me to asking questions that usually nobody else asks. It's like it just comes out. And that's pretty much always been a positive for me, because sometimes there's just, a secret or something that's been hidden somewhere, and providing the space to talk about that with someone that's non-threatening, and just in conversation can be beneficial. But again, it's me holding the thought of what is for my or someone else's highest good. Thank you. Great subject.
Thank you, Karen. Linda.
I really love this topic, and I think discussions like this are really, really important. There was a time when something was attributed to bad parenting. I think it might have been autism. I'm not sure what it was, and it wasn't bad parenting, it was bad mothering. So if the child presented these problems, it's because the mother was a mother. And it made it horrific for young mothers to try and get help for their kids, because by presenting this child with these symptoms, it was like announcing to the world, yeah, I'm a horrible mom. Please fix my child. And that kind of stigma hurt everyone. And I think that's what we're talking about on Blame the Patient, that you're sick. Another one is lung cancer. Oh, you have lung cancer. You gave it to yourself. You smoke. And another one is addiction. You're the one that did the drugs. It's your own fault. And I'm in remission from the disease of addiction. And it is an actual disease, not just bad life choices. And so I'm going to speak a little bit from addiction, however I got there. And it's a fatal disease. It could and nearly did several times kill me. I wouldn't let you take that away from me. Having gone through that and having walked through that have really given me so many insights and empathy and abilities that, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. If I could keep the whole world from ever having to walk through that, that would be my inclination. But having said that, I wouldn't give up my experience for anything. I think there's a lot smarter ways to get to where I am today, but those ways didn't work for me. I had to walk through what I walked through to get what I got to be what I am. And that was a whole lot of weird sentences, but absolutely my truth. And I think that, of course, it was a part of my path. It was a part of the path I needed to walk to get to the destination where I am. And knowing that to the core of my being helps me to know that for you. whoever you are, whatever you're going through. I know that this can be the most important thing that you've walked through, that you've done, whatever it is you're facing. Face it with love and compassion and hope, because it doesn't mean you earned this or you deserve this or mommy or daddy did something wrong. It means that this is who you are, and make the best of it, and hopefully the blessings and the gifts at some point in time you can look back and say, yeah, that was worth it, that was worth doing. So that's all I have.
I'd
Thank
like
you,
to
Reverend
add
Linda.
something else, Kathy.
Sure, Karen.
Just with what Reverend Linda was saying, I stayed in a marriage for 30 years. It's like, oh my God. I mean, now I can see why my dad didn't want me to get married. But it takes looking back on. And I didn't find, I'd never even heard of the word like alcoholism or any of that stuff. That was not even a piece of my upbringing until I was selling real estate at the time, and my coworker happened to just say, I think you might like to talk to this person I know. I believe I was having panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and I was falling apart emotionally, and very afraid of what was going on. And I went and talked to whoever it was he sent me to, and she ended up steering me to Al-Anon. And I still remained in the marriage probably another 15 years, but I needed to go through all of those experiences to where I could see on the other side of that now that, yes, coming from unavailability and the emotional abuse, fighting, name calling between my parents did set me up for that same that emotional environment with my ex-husband, who was abusive, a batterer. The key, though, I wasn't strong enough to do anything different. So it's kind of like magnets. Emotionally unavailable people attract other emotional unavailable people. And now I've been divorced for 33 years, and I really only had one 2-year relationship, but a couple just attractions. And it was always to somebody that was unavailable. So now I can always ask the question of, why are you going where you're going? I mean, I don't really go out that much anymore, but there used to be a time of joining singles groups or something like that. Now I go, why are you going? I will do this even when I go to a conference or a workshop, and I do love going to anything that's going to feed my emotional environment. But I always ask, why are you going? And those were questions that I could never ask early on, is why? Why me? He wasn't the problem. I was the one trying to change something. And it was out of my own insecurities. And that happens so much in addiction. I too was addicted to diet pills, and food has always been an up and down issue for me. And it comes from that, gotta be feeding something. And I know when I'm doing that, It's like there's a deeper something going on within myself. I would never have known those things if it hadn't have been for 12-step groups and other conferences. And I think somebody was talking, I don't know if it was in this meeting, epigenetics. That's such a really good thing to look into. Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton were a couple of people that kind of just saved my life about looking at what's going on inside of me. So really, really good topic. Brings back some really interesting memories. But there's a solution. And that was what Reverend Linda was addressing. There's a solution. And I had to go through every minute of that relationship to be where I'm at today. And who knows what's next? What else do I have to learn? It's a journey. It's a lifetime journey that we get to go through. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And the topic, the healing stream, we've seen how many different paths there are in that healing stream. That, of course, something that Linda Baker shared about the genetics, that in the family, the ALS has been there. And, one of my trigger points is that my husband's family constantly goes on the fact that, oh, you have that, because this one, this runs in the family. And it's like, well, I don't want to affirm that. I don't want to say that, because sometimes genetics do play a role, but why, like Elvis Presley always believed he was going to die at that certain age, that he ended up dying because that's what he held in his consciousness, that's when his mother died and he was going to die at the same age. So sometimes it's like, do you want to put that into your consciousness, that you're doomed to have this, that is in the family? My dad had Parkinson's, and there's times that I noticed tremors in my hand, and it's like, nope, I'm not affirming that. I'm not taking that on. If it's to be, it'll be, and I'll deal with the path, but I'm not going to hold that in my consciousness because he had it. I'm going to get it. And so that's one of my trigger points is, like we're saying, when people make somebody the victim, that something they did bad, is that's why they're, going through this suffering. Well, it's the same thing as like holding on into your consciousness. So that in that healing stream, you can change some of that consciousness of knowing that you don't have to take this on. Or the other side is, I'm in this because there's something I need to learn. Like Reverend Linda said, she went through that addiction because there was something that she was to come out on the other side. That was the journey she passed. So whatever health challenges, physical, mental, emotional, that you may be going through, just know that like a river, there's a healing in this stream. And part of that healing is how you let it flow. The statement that is in here that Eric Butterworth wrote, that I just totally dispute it, is there is no incurable illness, only incurable persons who may be locked into certain negative states of consciousness. I still think there are some incurable illnesses that people will get, and that there is just, you can go on the hope that they can find peace and comfort in that stage of their life. So those are my thoughts. I don't know if anybody else, after I've added this, have any more to say to this, but I appreciate everyone's input. Yes, Linda.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Thou art with me.
Thank you, Linda. That's a great closing with this one. So God is with us. And so I want to, with this writing, there's a healing prayer from Silent Unity, and I want to close with that. And it says, life is a divine healing stream within my body, mind, and being. Divine life is a river that can never run dry, an eternal stream of well-being in which I am whole. No human condition could possibly interrupt or diminish the flow of life, for God is the substance of life. I am thankful for and celebrate the fullness of life. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate my panel and their contribution to this. And if you like this, put a thumbs up, leave us your comments, anything. If this helped to, maybe bring some thoughts to you and bring some healing into your life because you've heard these perspectives. It's always great to get your feedback. And we welcome anybody that wants to join our panel. You can reach out to the church and they will let Reverend Linda know. And so please join us at some point in time. We look forward to the next time that we can be together. We want to say goodbye and have a blessed day. And bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.